Myself, Meenakshi. Students, today we'll study about protoplasm. Before proceeding to protoplasm, we shall know what actually a cell is. Inside a cell, there are basically two important constituents, or we can say there are two important parts. We can classify them as plasma membrane, and there is a ground substance known as protoplasm. Now, coming on to the different properties of protoplasm, first of all discussing about physical properties of protoplasm. First property is it is a polyphasic colloidal in which many colloids are present together and they are present in the same ground substance. Second is its specific gravity is slightly above that of water. Now, the third property is viscosity is viscous means the property to flow. Viscosity is that of glycerin. One of the important property is irritability. Irritability means property of responding to external stimuli. Now the next property is streaming. Streaming movement means the rotatory movement of cytoplasm. Now coming on to the next property of protoplasm, its pH, which is very important for a cell. Its pH is slightly acidic. It is in between 6.8. That means it is slightly acidic. But the pH of nucleoplasm lies between 7.6 to 7.8. That means it is slightly basic. So these were the physical properties or some of the properties of protoplasm. Now discussing something about the chemical property. Chemically, we can say there are different elements which are present in the cytoplasm. All those elements occur in free state. All those elements occurs in free state, or we can say they occur in free form. But elements do not occur in free state. They are not found in free state, but they combine to form either organic acids and inorganic compounds. If we consider the ratio of organic compounds is to inorganic compound, it is found to be 9:1. Now, talking something about cellular pool. In cellular pool, as we discussed, there are basically two different types of compounds. One is inorganic compound and the other one is organic compound. If we talk specifically about inorganic compounds, then we'll come to know that These inorganic compounds can be in the form of salts, it can be in the form of minerals, or it can be in the form of ions. And the major inorganic compound is water. And if we talk about organic compounds, then carbohydrates, fats, lipids, protein, and many more. Cellular pool forms almost incellular pool. Inorganic compounds are present in the form are present in the rate in one is present in 1 to 3 percentage. They form inorganic compounds form 1 to 3% of cellular pool. Now discussing separately about inorganic molecules. First one, let's discuss something about acids. Acids, if we talk about acids, these are the compounds which can release H positive ion in aqueous form. For example, HCl, H2SO4. Now secondly, bases are also found in the protoplasm. These are the compounds which releases OH negative ion. For example, NaOH, CaOH whole twice. Now, other than acids and bases, salts may be present in the inorganic pool. Salts are the compounds which are formed by the reaction between acids and bases. Some of the salts are summarized here as mainly the salts of sodium, potassium, calcium, chloride, and bicarbonate ions are present. Other than acids, bases, and salts, some gases are also found dissolved in the protoplasm like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and other gases. So this was all about the inorganic constituent of a protoplasm. Now we should move on the other part of the protoplasm, the other important part, the maximum part of the protoplasm, that is the major molecule of the inorganic pool is water. If we discuss about the important properties of water, we all know that it is the main constituent of cell and body fluids. Other than this, water has got the pH 7, which is required to maintain the ionic balance of the cell. It almost forms 55 to 60% of living material. As we all know that it is considered as universal solvent. So it dissolves many of the substances in itself because it possesses high dielectric constant. It is non-toxic to a cell. Water acts as a good medium of heat exchange and transfer. It participates in almost all biochemical reactions. It acts as a protective fluid and lubricating fluid. So these were the some important properties of the important molecule which is present in the maximum amount in the protoplasm. So as you all know that we were discussing about the protoplasm, which is the ground substance of a cell. It has got many of the molecules. Now the other category of molecule which is found in the cellular pool or protoplasm is organic compounds. We can define organic compounds as the compounds of living world. One of the most important compound is carbohydrate. Carbohydrates, as the name suggests, carbohydrate means these are the hydrates of carbon, or we can say that these are the compounds of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So there is a compound of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and this is also noticed that the ratio of hydrogen atoms to oxygen atom is found to be 2:1. General formula of carbohydrates is CnH2nOn, where N is the number of atoms present in a molecule. As far as we talk about the living world, in case of plants, carbohydrates are found in the form of cellulose and starch. And in case of animals, it is found in the form of glucose and glycogen. Glycogen is considered to be the reserve food material in case of animals, and starch is considered to be the reserve food material in case of plants, green plants, because it is a photosynthetic compound. Now coming on to the classification of carbohydrates, chemically they can be classified as under two headings. One is aldehydic sugars, aldehydic carbohydrate, and the second part we can classify them ketonic carbohydrate. Here the functional group is aldehydic and here the functional group is ketonic. As far as I talk about aldehydic sugar or aldehydic carbohydrate, it is glucose. Example is glucose, and ketonic, it is fructose. Now moving on to the further classification of carbohydrate, we can classify them as depending upon the number of carbon atoms present in it. They can be classified as monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharide. Before proceeding, we should be clear with the terminology used here in the classification of carbohydrate. As we know that mono means one, di means two, poly means many. So we can just get an idea that in case of monosaccharide there is a single unit which is being attached to each other, whereas in disaccharide two units are present, Polysaccharide means many units together combined to form polysaccharide. Now coming on to the first one, that is monosaccharide. We had discussed earlier that mono means one and saccharum means sugar. So there is a single unit of sugar which is present in monosaccharide. Their general formula is H2NON. Now discussing about the types of monosaccharide. Glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone. Depending upon the number of carbon atoms, it can be further classified as trioses. Tri means 3. For example, glyceraldehyde. Now, coming on to the second category, molecule, that is tetrosis. Tetrosis consists of 4 number of carbon atoms. For example, erythrose. Pentosis, we know that pentose means 5, that means 5 carbon atoms are present in pentosis. For example, ribose, deoxyribose. Next category is hexoses. In hexoses, 6 number of carbon atoms are present. For example, glucose. Now discussing the specific molecule of the carbohydrate, that monosaccharide. First of all, we shall start with glucose. We all know that it's a hexose. That means a molecule consists of 6 carbon atoms. Chemically, it contains aldehydic group. Its formula is C6H12O6. It is also known as blood sugar of body. It serves as metabolic fuel. If we talk about the concentration of glucose in the blood, then the normal blood glucose level should be 80 to 120 milligram per 100 ml. Now talking about its occurrence, where does it occur inside our body? It is found in fruit juices, and it is also formed in body by hydrolysis of starch, cane sugar, maltose and lactose. If blood glucose level exceeds threshold value, that is 180 mg per 100 ml, glucose begins to appear in the urine. This condition is known as glycosuria. So this was all about these were some of the important points covered under glucose. Let us revise it once again. It is a hexose sugar. That means it consists of 6 carbon atoms. Chemically it has got aldehydic group. Its general formula is C6H12O6. It is also known as blood sugar, or we can say that it is the sugar of the body. It serves as metabolic fuel. What metabolic fuel is? Metabolic fuel means if a substrate gets oxidized in presence of oxygen and it releases energy, that is known as metabolic fuel. Blood glucose level for a normal person is 80 to 120 mg per 100 ml. If we talk about its occurrence, fruit juices it is formed in the body by the hydrolysis of starch, cane sugar, maltose and lactose. If blood glucose level exceeds its threshold value, that is 180 mg per 100 ml, glucose begins to appear in the urine, and this condition is known as glycosuria. We'll continue in the next class with the structure of glucose and the rest of the carbohydrates. Thank you.